Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Poland Daily Travel. We're in the studio in beautiful downtown Warsaw. With me in the studio is Nicholas Richardson, looking, well, very much as you did last night.
Yes, thank you.
Through the magic of television.
I know, it's remarkable what it can be done.
And internet.
Yep.
In fact, we are living in a virtual studio right here.
Exactly.
None of this is real. We are holographs.
Yes.
In fact, well, I know you are.
I certainly am.
Nobody could look that good.
They couldn't. No, you're quite right.
Not a real person.
Exactly, exactly. It's
but we were
remarkable.
talking about, actually, all levity aside, we were talking about something very serious. We ended the last program with a question, and that was how to explain the Holocaust experience as a travel destination. And there's a line between voyeurism
exactly
and reverence.
That's the point, isn't it? I mean, if you look at Auschwitz, take any concentration camp of which the remains are still available, who is actually going there? Well, in the first place, there will be the very small number of survivors and their families who are going to sort of pay homage or to remember the people they knew there who died, as they might visit any other site of death in an atmosphere of reverence. Then the second group of people are likely to be people who are going there as some sort of educational experience. I know in schools here it was, and maybe still is, very popular to take school children there.
From Poland, but I'm thinking of visitors.
I'm thinking of visitors, but because so there'll be people, historians or other people who want to go there as part of their education to see it, to learn about what actually happened, and that's fine. And then there'll be the third group of, or types of people who are just general tourists who might be going to Auschwitz one day, might be going to another museum another day, might be going to the seaside the third day. And I think it's that third category I think we all slightly feel slightly uneasy about, because you are essentially visiting a place of great evil, a place of death, and should a place of death become a tourist attraction? And you know, cemeteries, I think, cemeteries are rather different because they were always expected to
well,
attract
this
visitors.
kind of death, it's not like you're looking at a medieval torture chamber or something like that.
No, you're looking at something which is still within a dwindling number, obviously, a very small number now, but within the lives of people, that this was actually a functioning place of murder.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to understand. It's so hard to believe that even when you visit these places, because I've been to Dachau and I've been to Auschwitz. Dachau was my choice. And as I said in a previous program, I decided as a young student that this was one place on my backpacking trip around Europe for 2 or 3 months that I wanted to, this was one of my first destinations to try. I was a history student and graduated in history and graduate school as well. And went to graduate school as well in history. But my objective was to try to understand by being in the place how this thing could happen. And it's not just me as a kid who found it hard to believe. Less than 50% of Americans actually are aware of how many people died.
I saw this in the
because
press
6 million is such a huge figure.
Well, it's hard to comprehend, isn't it, that death on that scale.
Well, I mean, just the idea that you could even bring a group of people to do it is just, it seems incredible.
It is, and this was the sheer genius of the evil, if I can use that expression. The fact they were able, they were able to do it. I mean, it just extraordinary, and of course it involved the cooperation of large parts of German industry. Somebody had, the plans exist. And somebody had to sit down in an architect's office and design crematoria with a capacity to process a certain number of I mean, it just sounds horrific that somebody would be sitting there, you know, a trained architect or an engineer would be sitting there working out how you build this thing, what it should look like, and the plans exist.
Yeah, and you call yourself civilized.
Oh, we did, but this is a great. I think
and this wasn't that long ago. It's not even 100 years ago.
I think there are people alive today who were prisoners in this camp.
That's right, and you've talked to some, and so have I. I mean, we've had members of our own family who fought in that war. I had many relatives who fought in that war. As you being British, of course, you did too.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is. It is very difficult. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that people shouldn't go, because you can't You know, people have to gather knowledge, and if you're genuinely interested in the history, then you know, these places are available to be visited. But I think how you market them, how you let people behave once they're there is very difficult. And there are always stories in the press, aren't there, of tourists behaving in an inappropriate way in Auschwitz. Obviously a very small minority. People taking selfies in sort of rather strange locations. You know.
Yeah, this is the sort of, this is the problem. People go there, and without the proper grounding and reverence, you begin to make a mockery of it by, who wants to see a picture of you standing in front of a chimney?
Well, this is the point.
I can't understand it.
No, nor can I.
The egocentricity, the solipsism, and a few other big words. But solipsism meaning just the concentration on oneself.
Yes.
At the expense of all other things, is ludicrous in the extreme.
I think I don't know. I think if I went, it would be nice to go in winter when it was cold and dark and miserable. No, not many other tourists around. Then you'd really appreciate I think the quietness and the bleakness would really come through then, rather than going in midsummer when you're fighting your way past busloads of other tourists.
It's a good place to end, and when we come back, I will talk about my trip to Auschwitz.
Yeah, please do.
In the bleak midwinter, not yes, in February, and I'll tell you what happened and why and how and who I went with.
Okay, good.
Okay, in the next episode. Will you stay with me?
Of course.
Listen, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and it's a serious subject, and we're trying just to get to the bottom of it and tell a couple of stories. So stay tuned for the next installment of Poland Daily Travel. You're looking good.
Thank you.